Okay, we're back. A little interruption. So, most of the rigging holes have been drilled, and oh, where is it? So the template I use for that, it can either be string or cardstock. You just want to make sure that your lines are parallel and that they are symmetrical. So, for instance, the holes on either side of our forward fuselage, they have to be centered. You don't want them tilted one way or the other. You don't want higher on one side, lower on the other is what I mean. You don't want them skewed this way and that way. So when you look at the airplane once it's rigged, everything is square. All the lines are square to each other. So how do we do that? So there's, the method that I use is obviously just measuring. So we find our center line at the top, measure down to the location of the first hole from the center line, and you want to make sure you know the distance from your cowling. So there you see the 2 marks for the cowling. So we get them measured down from the top, the same distance, and then the distance from the firewall back, and then we just use the same yardstick throughout. So there's our first mark, and there's our second mark in the back. Hopefully you can I'm picking this up with the camera, I don't know. Okay, and then out on the wingtip it's the same thing. This distance has to be the same on both sides, and the distance from your leading edge has to be the same on both sides. You just measure that out. And again, we can use this to measure that out. Let me see, where did I mark that? Here and here. So you see our leading edge, and you see our 2 marks, and then the distance that you want to have. And obviously, where the leading edge is, it's close to this dimension. It's almost identical to this dimension. It's actually from the inside of where I wrapped with tape to get a better seal on the back side of our cowling. But once you get all of that done, the measuring done, then you're just going to drill your holes, and you go on the wings. You're going to go straight through, and that's because the exit should be in the same location as the entry, top and bottom. And there, I think you can see that. So you have the first hole is for the single rigging line that goes down to the front of the landing gear, straight across the front, and then back up here. And that's a single line that only goes under the wing. And then the other 2, the second and third holes there, are just mirrored from the top. And those 2 go back through 2 holes in the landing gear and then cut across and go up into the rear of the upper landing gear leg to form a cross, an X at the front. Okay, probably clear as mud. You'll see it when we get it rigged, but most of the holes are done. The only ones I really haven't done are the landing gear. I've just put the forward hole through for the single run that goes in the front, but I haven't really done the double holes. I started in the back here, and I'll finish up back there, but I think I'm going to be using the needle. And that's the other thing. How do we pass the line through? So what we're going to do up here is anchor the line here, attach it to a needle and thread, push the needle through, pull it under, then back to the landing gear, push it through, pull it across, and up into the upper landing gear leg here, and secure it there. So that's the easiest way to pass a line through a hollow surface like a wing. You just use a needle like you were sewing, like a needle and thread. Bam, pulls the line right through. No muss, no fuss. Okay, so the rigging goes on after the airplane is completely painted and all the decals are in place. You don't want to be messing around with decals after you put rigging on. So in the case of the wings, the rigging line actually passes through the decal. And again, that's where the needle comes in handy. You're just going to punch that right through, and away you go. So that's it. I just wanted to show you kind of how I do the rigging. The other thing here, I guess, to look at would be our canopy. And so we have an anti-glare panel, and we want the anti-glare panel to fit inside of our canopy. So there's a quick, easy way to do that. you just lay a piece of cardstock right across the top here, set the cowling where it goes, and then trace that outline of the front of the cowling on right onto the cardstock, and then cut it off of the sheet, and you've got a piece that should fit inside. Now, I did cut to a line. In other words, the line I drew, I cut inside of by a little over 1/16 of an inch. Just uniformly stayed inside of the line all the way around. And then we paint this the interior color, which is a kind of a medium gray, dark gray, and lay that on there with wood glue. It gives you time to maneuver it into position. You don't want it to be sideways or, you know, cockeyed or anything. So use a woodworking glue, just any kind of wood. I use Type Bond, regular Type Bond on that. It adheres pretty quick. It gives you time to slide it around a little bit. You don't want to be too much. You don't want to get glue out here. That requires a bit of a cleanup that is a bit tricky with cardstock. You get the cardstock wet and then you start running into that problem. So you want to dry fit that on there. You want to use just a little bit of glue, rub it in with your finger all up to the entire surface, and then tack it on there and then hold it in for about, I don't know, 30 seconds. Didn't take even that long. It's kind of a hot, dry day today, so it's set up pretty quick. As you can see, the tape cover that we put over the cockpit was a bit oversized, so I'll be just taking some white acrylic adhesive, white acrylic paint, and just brushing it on to cover this so that it's uniform. And then we're going to secure the canopy in place prior to paint. So we'll get this on here and glue it on, and then we'll start spraying on our racing white. I think what I'll do first, I'm going to mask the interior of this and spray the outside with a medium gray or a light gray, just so there's an interior color and an exterior color. Remember, the first color you shoot onto clear plastic is the color that's going to show from the inside. No matter what you do to the top of it, whatever your initial color is, that shows through in here, and that's kind of ideal for doing an interior versus an exterior color for your canopy frames. It's an easy shortcut. You don't have to mask both sides of this. You just shoot the first color you want to be your interior color, shoot that first, and then shoot your exterior color on top of that. Alright, so that's probably what we'll be doing. I don't know if I've got a dark gray here, but I'll find something suitable. I might have a gull gray left over from the Sparrowhawk mission, and that light gray might be okay. Just something to contrast. I don't want it to be white. I don't want it to be racing white inside and out. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't want that. I want a different interior color on it. We can see how that'll just go right over that. It'll fit right over the anti-glare panel nicely. All the way around, fits right over it, and it'll look good. Just a little bit of a reveal around it, and that's fine. That's no problem. Okay, so there we are. I guess the next step will be to have the overall white sprayed onto it, and then I'll turn the camera on then. Thanks. Have a great day.